Great. We'll roll right into it. We are recording and we are glad you're here this evening. I was getting ready for tonight and it just struck me how fast this year has been going by. It's amazing that we are this far along in the Year of the Artist. But as we designed the Year of the Artist, we knew it was going to be much more than a year. I guess we could have done it as like Roanoke City of the Artist. But we probably would have had to get somebody else to buy into that early. Now I think they're going to be ready to buy into it pretty soon. And we're going to keep doing these strategies. We've been working on a plan at the Arts Commission this week, our upcoming public art plan, and we're pretty excited about the ways we're going to be able to continue doing this work. So fear not. Now, has the slide changed? I'm going to check in on that. Did it change? Okay.
Inspiration, reflections, and learning.
Great. That's the way we start these. And I'd like to start it again this way and grab 3 or so reflections, celebration. We've already started. We started off camera celebrating things, but let's share some things that you're thinking about, either reflecting on some of the work that you're doing or celebrating great things that have happened since we've last gathered in this forum.
I'll share one thing. Since I did the information in the merchandise booth for Brian at the Daisy Art Parade, I was really struck by how many people came up just to say how much they loved the parade and everything going on and wanted to hear about YOTA. And I had people say, can I just charge on my debit card a donation so we can do this again? I thought, well, that is a wonderful compliment and great show of support. So I love that. Here's my credit card. I don't need anything. Just charge me some money so we can do this again. So that was really fun energy to be a part of.
Excellent. I agree. Anybody want to build on to that comment by Catherine about the Daisy Art Parade?
Talk about the parade too. I was just thinking about this before we got on. Of how much is possible. Like there was this big whole parade that we put together and all these people showed up and everyone had these wonderful costumes and creations and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, we could do so much bigger and more extravagant and include so many members of our community. Obviously it'll take hard work, but I was like, look what we were able to do and look what Brian was able to do in such a sort of short amount of time, really. So I thought that was really cool. I was thinking about that just now.
Yeah,
I was very sorry to have missed it. It looked amazing, all the lead up to it, and then all the pictures. I was glued to my screen looking at all the coverage of it. It's a wonderful thing that was done.
and it's interesting. I was on a grant panel and I'm reviewing grants from around the state right now, and I reviewed one that is kind of a similar idea, focused, giant puppets. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, wow, would I have reviewed this grant the same way if I hadn't been part of the Daisy Art Parade? And, you know, one of our guiding thoughts in the Year of the Artist is that Angela Davis quote, in my mind, the arts can make us feel what we don't necessarily understand. And, you know, being part of it, being there and seeing it, or working together with your community and creating something and then presenting it as part of a larger community, it's really powerful. And I'm not sure I got it before doing it. And I think there are a lot of people out there too that were part of it and saw it and probably get it now in ways that they didn't get it beforehand. Yeah.
Can I say, I had a parent of one of my kids who volunteered to be part of it, and at the last minute her spouse joined in, so they all walked through the parade. At the end, he said, what was the point of this parade? And she said, there was no point. That's the point. And I just think the idea of just having fun is all it was about. There wasn't any other message other than we can get together and just do something super fun. And that was very well received by especially the kids in my studio.
Yeah, Excellent.
I want to ask a question just out of curiosity on that same note. I was just curious, that was such an unusual name, Daisy Parade. Was there any hidden meaning behind it, or was it just supposed to be kind of a fun kind of the word Daisy? I'm just really curious. Is there an acronym for it or what?
I think depending on when you ask him, he might give you a different answer. But I think fun is a big is a big part of it. But he did say that he had in mind kind of that daisy chain of action and activity, things of something being a little contagious as well. So he did say that was a little bit in his mind when he named it.
I'll have to ask him and see
Yeah,
what he.
do. Yeah. Anything else to reflect on? Anything inspiring you lately? Anything you've learned?
But I have to give a shout out to Vicky for being one of the artists at our last Sister City artist collaboration. And it really ended on a sweet note with your performing on the harmonica for our group. And I really sad in a way that we've done that. And I feel like I had somebody who missed the date and went a week too late to the event. And of course, clearly we were not there. But I think it just kind of took a while for people to get that in their minds and in the calendar and to be able to show up. But I think I'm very thankful to all the artists who were able to step up and out of their comfort zone and do some public speaking, for a group. So I wanted to thank you, Vicky, for being part of that last.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I loved hearing that harmonica playing in the municipal building, and it was right there right before council meeting started. So there were a lot of people passing through and getting ready to go. What's going on? So we might have that in our mind as we're thinking about the end of the year. In August, the first meeting in August, I'd like to have folks who are available go so we can present to council and kind of tell them what we've done this year. And there might be some spectacular performance part of that if we were thinking about it. I think it might be fun to liven up council chambers.
I'd like to say something in terms of inspiration that the grant has allowed me to grow as an artist, very much so. And I really appreciate the opportunity because I've always been kind of a creative person, but I've never been able to put it together in such a way that really allows me to develop so many different facets of my creativity. And it's been a pleasure to be able to integrate in this particular grant, the Art Matters grant, especially it started with the self-portrait, just you helping me with the QR code. But, I'm looking forward to integrating the art and the music together with my final presentation. And then I didn't get an opportunity to tell you, but I've been in conference with one of the managers over at Hotel Roanoke, and one of my paintings is representative of the interior of the hotel itself in conjunction with my topic, which is, of course, housing and homelessness. So I talked to him, and I don't have it in writing because I have to get back to him this week, but he agreed to let me showcase the work in the hotel itself, which I'm really excited about because that was my first painting, and that was my first thought of what would happen if a homeless person came into the hotel. How would you treat that homeless person? And what happened to the displaced homeless people that were out on the sidewalk? Where do they go? What do they do? So I was staying overnight with a friend of mine at the hotel, and it was so gorgeous with all the holiday decorations and everything. So I envisioned a homeless person just walking through, and I wanted to clarify it with the hotel personnel, and they were, just lovely about it. So I kind of feel very fortunate that they are so on board with this whole, the portrait, well, not my portrait really, but the whole concept of the Art Matters grant that I'm working with, and they'll be the one that I can showcase the work first. And again, I'm going to make sure, because there's nothing writing, but I got his word that would be the case.
Well, terrific. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. I'll throw a couple of things in there as well. If you're in Grandin Village, and you might see a familiar face sitting on one of the benches, and it is a bronze sculpture that Betty Branch has done. And there's Polly and her mom and Mr. Tarpley. the Angel of Grandin Village. And so that's a new bronze piece that's on loan and there in Grandin Village, and you can sit and have your picture made with Mr. Tarpley. And then additionally, we're super happy that we are doing some touch up on the Dorothy Gillespie accentuated forms in space mural that is from 1979. It's hard to believe that that mural has been up there for 40 some years, 44 years. And local artist Jack Fralin and Dana, and I've lost her last name very quickly. Dana James are working on that, and that picture is as of an hour ago. So the other colors, the blues and the greens and the rest of the red, will still be populated this week, and that work is it's I was giddy yesterday looking at it. Those colors are so exciting. Yeah.
At some point, you got to help educate us all from these artists. What kind of paint did she use? Why did it fade so easily? And what are they using now? I'd like to know.
Oh yeah, I've got all the paints that he's using, and we'll have those on file. And these are like kind of the sign. He's a sign painter or sign muralist. He does the old Coca-Cola signs. He redoes those all across the East Coast.
Wow.
So he knows, he's a sign painter and does hand lettering and such. So it's those paints. I think they're probably pretty expensive, but they're terrific. He matched them historically. And then we couldn't find, it was also like a similar sign company who did it before, but we know the company's out of business, so we can't kind of go back and find those records. Yeah, and then it is, speaking of old, the Roanoke Arts Commission is turning 40 years. We're celebrating 40 years this year. So this is our kind of anniversary tagline, and you all have helped inspire this, celebrating 40 years of progress, art, and fun. So we're going to get serious about fun. We want to make sure that everything we're doing has a little bit of fun in it. And that Daisy Art Parade could be a great kind of signature for it, if that was the point. Yeah. Okay. And then I just do want to, before we hit our main thing tonight, I want to mention what's coming up. And I have to make this bigger so I can actually read it. We've had so much happening. We're down to doing things 1 month at a time to get it fit on here. But we've got tonight happening. This week is the first week of the month, so it means it's art by night, and that means all the galleries will stay open later. There's some let's see, and there's some exhibits opening, some kind of new work happening. These artists have been very busy because we just had open studios, which was a busy weekend for folks. I saw a bunch of our community out there at studios. Also on Art by Night, Sam, what's happening there at the Taubman?
We're going to have friends from the Chrysler Museum of Art bring their mobile hot shop. So there's going to be 2 glass artists, who will be doing live glass blowing demonstrations on the patio area of the museum. So you can just come and camp out and watch some glass blowing. So that should be really cool and really exciting, because we have 2 exhibitions on view right now that have both contemporary glass and Tiffany glass in them. So it's pretty exciting. I'll be interested to see what that looks like, because I've never seen anyone glass blow in person. So.
Oh yeah, and they do a terrific job. I've been there to the Chrysler Center there. They've got in Norfolk a few times. It's great. Yeah. Next week at this time, we're going to have a guest, and that's going to be Cynthia Connolly from Arlington. And she runs the Arlington Art Bus, or art truck rather. So they have a truck that they load up with supplies, and they partner with different parts of the city or the little county government, different parts of the county, and go out and do lots of engaging, interactive things. And they've got some cool aspects to it. So we're going to hear from Cynthia, ask her questions, and kind of learn from another community next week. And then May 13th, that's going to be Will Smith's premiere of his ballet. I went to see a rehearsal of it, and I think it's going to be fantastic. So they have choreographed this around the poem Lark Ascending. They've incorporated some ASL. There's going to be a poetry reading. It's going to be accessible for the deaf community. On the Friday night, the night prior, I think it's right. Yeah, on the night prior, they're going to have, it's going to be free for anyone in the deaf community. So if you know of anybody or an organization, definitely get the word out. They can get tickets from the box office there at Center in the Square. And that's an Art Matters project that Will's done a lot of work on. Catherine, you've talked with Will lately about it. You have anything to add to that?
No, he was so intriguing to speak with, because he is one of the examples that we love to highlight of who's really been adaptable and had to just adjust and pivot while he was putting this together. He'd had this earlier vision, and then all of a sudden he was like, I realized I couldn't do that at all. And then he just kept going. And so I'm really looking forward to it, because he's positive and upbeat about it, and very creative on his feet as a dance person.
Oh
So,
my gosh,
yeah.
that's so well said. And when I was watching the rehearsal, they were still choreographing the dance, and the dancers were helping to choreograph it. They were all throwing ideas in, and he was, it was very interactive and really interesting. So, please, if you can, there's a cost to this. There's a ticket sales, but I think it'd be definitely worth it if you're available that night. It's at 5 p.m. on the 13th. Is that right? Know that right? Or the 13th or 15th? Boy, I can't see.
It is oh gosh, I can't either.
Yeah, it's 13.
Okay, great. 13. I thought that's what I had in my memory. And then on May 16th, Catherine Devine, what are you doing then on May 16th? And you're muted.
Yeah, actually, I just came from the grand opening of the new Leap Farmers Market on Patterson Avenue. And we are going to be, our workshop's going to be the first thing in their new community room. So I'm highlighting, focusing on, for some of you guys who've worked with me before, how we've gone down the list of how to imagine your business. So we're going to get a little bit more details about the actual spaces and places to go to get your business off the ground with the legal status situation, business license, that kind of stuff. So I've got some information to share about that. So I'm looking at some of the friends who've been part of the workshops in the past and kind of adding answers to questions that came up for the previous ones we've had.
And when is that, Catherine, again?
It's this 2 Tuesdays from now. So it's May 16 from 6 to 7:30 in the new community room, which is going to be super fun to see because we get to have a real close-up view of the new mural that was created for LEAP. So it's just a really sweet opportunity to be part of supporting what they are creating for the community and kind of building on some of the relationships that come from these connections between the local food community, arts community, and I would love to see any of you all who are interested and want to learn more.
And that'll be documented somewhere in writing so that my sieve of a brain will remember.
Oh, you mean the workshop details or the actual workshop itself?
Yeah, it's it's on the website. We've got the meetings. It's roanokearts.org/meetings, and all the information there. There's a link, and you can register for it. So because this is limited, it's because it's a smaller space. So it's limited to 12 people. So I recommend hopping on and registering.
Yeah, I really definitely wanted to bring a lot of different voices together. And it's so interesting. I just talked to Christina Nafang, who is one of the people involved with LEAP, and she's going to write a little blurb for me because she herself ran into some snafus not having a business license as a writer in Roanoke. So just how do we get these things out of the way so we can just focus on what we really want to do?
Great. And then the following week on May 23rd, it's going to be a little different. We're going to go out on the Greenway and have a walk together, and we're going to do it there at we'll meet up at Hang 10, which is there in Wasena. And we'll go for a walk and we'll come back and we'll have some ice cream or some kind of treat there at the, I love Hang 10 because they have Dole Whip. But we'll get out there and we'll have a different kind of conversation because we'll be out walking around together. We'll just do a short walk on the Greenway and hopefully the weather will be good. If not, we'll figure something out. And then May 27th, it is the final, or not final, I think he's got one more after that. It is the next 3D printing workshop with John Woodrum. And that one's going to be at Williamson Road Library. So those are the May events. And then remember the Year of the Artist. I just want to, I've done this a lot, but look at this, I've switched it up. I want to focus on the fact that we're building a learning community. And tonight's conversation is all about shaping that learning community, gathering our lessons that we're learning, our best practices, shaping our next step. But part of the way we got to building a learning community included having that fun and doing things with a sense of play, connecting with each other, strengthening a network, paying artists, exploring and experimenting, integrating artists and problem solving, and we're advancing community goals at the same time. So I think we're really demonstrating something in the community, and I just demonstrated I knew how to undo that and make it go backwards. That was my demonstration. So, and we have, as we're working on this coming year's plan, it is really working. We see how we can do this with the ongoing Artists in Residence program. We know how we can use city funds in addition to grant funds to do it. I really do see, I can see it happening next year, that we are going to have faster project development because of this. And we are going to use more local artists in the public art program because of this. I am convinced that this is working. And then, and we're also, I think we're training and supporting each other as agents of neighborhood and community development. And a big aspect of this in the next year is we want to reach even younger artists as well. So I know as we continue the Artists in Residence program, the idea of it right now is to have kind of some more experienced artists in residence and then some more emerging artists in residence. And I'm thinking it could be someone who's graduated from high school and is around town and taking classes at the community college, but is interested in this kind of work in the community and is interested in pursuing an arts career. So keep your mind out for your eye out for those kind of people. We'll be putting a call out pretty shortly for some of our next positions, and some of those will be for emerging artists. And again, we're committed to equity as well. So we really want to get a good mix of people, a diverse mix of people. We don't want it to be all white men of a certain age. We want to get younger people in there. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have opportunities for older, experienced, or people who are just starting out with arts who are older as well. But we really do want to get folks from all over the community geographically. And we can see how I can picture it. I can picture how this is going to be happening next year. And I believe that our artists who we've worked with so far are not just doing projects, but they're helping to develop projects as well, encouraging other artists to get involved, encouraging other artists to take on projects that we can then fund as the city. And eventually I see all of this happening. All of these projects are going to be bubbling up and happening from the ground up. And the city is just finding resources and supporting those as we create the kind of community we want to be. So that's where we're headed. And to help us get there, tonight, well, let's see, just a couple of the numbers. We funded 80 artists to date. We've had more than 38 networking sessions. We funded 31 projects that are advancing justice, wellness, and inclusion. And we've worked with more than a dozen, now far more than a dozen when you think about some of the partnerships that our Artists in Residence and our Art Matters grantees. We just heard Vicki talking about engaging with Hotel Roanoke. That's another agency or organization that's been connected. But it's hard for us to know how many of these we're doing unless we have a real strategic way of gathering that information. And that's what tonight is about. So what are we learning? With that, I want to stop the share. I think it stopped. And I want to turn it over to Samantha. And Sam, I can pull up the, I have it ready to pull up, or if you want to pull it up and be the driver, I'll let you do it.
Yeah, I have it up as well. I don't know if you want to see it because it's just a bunch of words, or if you want me to read it, or both.
Either
That's
way,
helpful for people.
Whatever you think works best.
Okay, I can go ahead and share then if you want to give me sharing capabilities.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. Screen. Let's see. I'm on my iPad, so it's a little bit different then. Can you see that?
Yep.
So I sent this link out to you all via email. You should have gotten it, hopefully. If you didn't, let me know and I'll send it. Because I'm going to use this as sort of a first step to compiling information in this, what I'm calling year in review document. It's going to have a much more creative name, I hope, because that's pretty bland and boring. But that's what I have right now. I don't have a name for it. But like Doug said, we want to be able to capture this some way. And this has been my YOTA project all along. So all year I've been sort of listening and learning and compiling the newsletters for all the events we've been doing. And then now I'm in the home stretch. So I'm going to start putting together this document. And it's going to be more of like a catalog of sorts, but we're going to have it in physical copy. And I believe we have printing money. So hopefully we can give it to all of the artists that have participated. A physical version of it, and then as well we'll have it in a digital PDF format so that we can have this to others who want access to this. So this will be for us reflecting on what we've done, individual artists to look back on their work and go, oh my gosh, look what I did and look how awesome that was. And for us as a community to look back on it, and as well as the city and National Endowment for the Arts, the people who've actually funded us this money. So we can say, look at all of the good things that we've done with this money that you've given us. So that's really exciting, but it's like, oh my gosh, where do you even begin? So I sent this out as a first step in that. So there are some sort of guiding and inspiring questions on here. And I've heard a lot from tons of people. Like Vicky, you just said an incredible statement about everything that you've been learning and how much you've improved and grown as an artist. But for others, this will be a good way for them to sort of reflect that and get those wheels turning if, and maybe spark some questions that or answers that they maybe haven't thought of yet. Are we following? Oh, I lost myself. Can we see? So this first question is obviously your name, what kind of project that you were involved in, and then we have a number of different things on here, and not all of them you're required to answer. So if you feel like you just don't quite have an answer yet, that's okay. You can keep thinking about it and maybe come back to it and contact me or whatnot. But because we wanted it to be open to as much information as we can give, but if you still need time to think, to still be able to. So something that has been a big theme for us, I think, and that in our coaches meeting with myself and Doug and Catherine and Katie and Pedro, we talk about how many people we've met during this year of the artist, how many new people we've met. And for me, that has been probably over 20, over 30, because I just graduated from Roanoke College, so I didn't know a whole lot of people who were active in the arts community in the city, because I was kind of in my own world at Roanoke College. And so I've just met so many more people than I feel like I can count. So, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. I know Catherine has said that she has met tons of new people that she's never met before, and Doug too. So that's something that we want to highlight. And then we also thought about adding in here, how many existing relationships did you further strengthen during the year of the artist? Because Doug had a good comment several months ago that he had always worked with Pedro and knew Pedro, but didn't really connect with him on that level. I think that was you, right, Doug?
Sounds like me. I can say that about a lot of people. Yeah, we've gotten to engage in a different way through this, which is meaningful. Yeah.
So if you guys have a number for that and responses to that, that's really great information. So then I can gather it, because I think it's helpful to have some quantifiable information in there. So it leaves sort of that impact, especially for some people who are maybe doubtful of the arts, who are more numbers people. I think they'll see that sort of statistic and be like, oh, wow. So some of that eye-catching, grabbing information. And then also for us to reflect on too. So just to be inspired by what a program like this can do for our community in terms of bringing us together and allowing a space for meeting new people, because we get sort of in our own spaces, in our own world, and this really sort of forced you to go beyond that. I think, at least for myself, I can say that for sure. I've had to connect with so many people, and it's been just a joy the whole time. So do we have anybody who wants to comment on that, or I can keep going? Okay.
And let's see, Vicky had a comment. She said, I think too, meeting other artists has been particularly helpful coming out of this terrible COVID trauma. What YOTA did was a conduit of healing. Wow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I'll pipe in too that it is very helpful to speak with folks who see from a point of view of art making or image making, creative problem solving. It is a different kind of mindset. So I appreciate all that I was able to brainstorm with or, converse with. So thank you.
Thanks. It's great. Does anybody else have anything they want to share?
I want to say one thing, piggybacking what I had written. To me, for me personally, the YOTA program was like a light out of the darkness, because we all were experiencing so much in our own individual ways, disassociation with so many things in our world. I mean, we weren't allowed to go out. We weren't allowed to see one another. We were stuck indoors. And then YOTA came along, and it really did. I mean, I remember when we first started, I just moved down here and I was looking for some other artists, and I just stumbled upon it, and just the Zoom conferences. And I remember Catherine Devine in particular. I remember her on the, when we first got acquainted with one another, and just different faces that I'd never met in person. And then, gradually we got to see one another, and it's just been a remarkable time period. And YOTA was a real big part of that in terms of connecting, making those connections where we didn't really have any at all. And so that was forceful. It was a huge force, at least in my life anyway.
Well, yeah, I want to say something about that, because I think the pandemic highlighted how much the arts helped us get through it, right? Everybody was listening to music and paying attention to different ways that we fed ourselves spiritually and with our souls to get through this scary time. So I think it's really important to remember that this program helped us individual artists recover, and that by our recovery able to impact our community in a healthy way. But the reality that you actually funded individual artists has never been done in my experience, to have actual individual artists be able to apply for and receive funding as not as part of an organization or something that they applied for that was already kind of decided what the project was going to be, is really novel and progressive and very welcomed. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence to encourage other artists that I was actually getting paid to do something I probably would have done anyhow, because it's just what I do. But it was really nice to feel that support and to be able to encourage other people to participate and to take their ideas and go through the project steps and get the funding themselves. It was really wonderful to come out of the pandemic with such a positive program.
Something that I've gotten out of it, Josh, I think you'll agree with me that we know a lot of musicians in Roanoke, but we really didn't know a lot of other types of artists. So just being able to meet everybody through YOTA, like all the visual artists, all the dancers, all the writers, it's been really cool being able to enter into the full Roanoke arts community in a way that we definitely weren't before.
Yeah, and it opens up a lot of really cool ideas for collaboration in the future
Had
too.
so many good conversations with people. Yeah, that's been one of the best parts of this. Just I've definitely seen all of you around. I just have never spoken to you. So now I know you.
Yeah.
That's great. So, and listening to you all reflect on that made me think of something that I forgot to explain before I sort of went into my Google form, is that I've been hearing all year long from people who've been reflecting in our sessions and meeting everybody out at our other meetings and things like that, other arts events, that are actively meeting those goals that Doug shared just now again in that circle. So that's like our goals for Year of the Artist. I mean, Catherine has talked about how much of a difference it's made for her and her confidence and instilling that in others for paying artists. And so I thought it would be a good idea to organize this year in review document to through that goal. So we'll have a section that is paying artists and what people have connected with that idea, even though we all have, right? Because we're all being paid and it's all amazing. But pulling out specific people to highlight that goal and connecting and building our community, just talking about how many people that we've met and those sort of themes. So it'll be organized like that so that every artist can have a spotlight in this document as well. So we don't want to leave anybody out. It'll be a paragraph or so about the work that you've been doing and some of those really great things that you've experienced. So I think we definitely do want everyone to be able to have their moment in this document, because everyone's contributed in some way or another, and we've all been one big community, I think. So highlighting that instead of just being, oh, here's this artist and this artist and this artist, putting them into these sort of groups that can highlight our overall picture, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So this next question that's on here, and this one is one that we are asking you to answer. There is an other one though, so if you really, feel the need, you can click that. And then if you don't feel like you fit in this category, but have something else, there is a space at the bottom for you to type something in, or also you can reach out to me directly and talk to me about it one-on-one if you'd like. So it's, which of the following benefits did you receive from participating in YOTA? And you can select more than one. So the first one is, it increased my confidence. I learned more about my community. I gained important skills. I built a stronger network. I better understand the power of the arts in improving our community. I feel more connected to community leadership. I strengthened my problem-solving skills, and then that other one. So if anyone wants to talk about that, you are more than welcome to. I'm putting you all on the spot.
Well, I will say something then. I feel like I would be hard pressed to like delete any one of those because I think it all fits. So I was having tech difficulties, so I couldn't get on to look at the form prior to the meeting, but based on what you just said, I feel like it's all across the board for me for the most part. Some stronger than others, obviously, but it much fits everything really.
Yeah, and this one, it shouldn't take you long to respond to, but it'll give us some, a little bit of way to use some numbered data, you'll be able to say what percentage of artists feel more connected to community leadership after this. And so it shouldn't take you long to do, and it's fine to mark all of them, or just mark the ones that apply. Yeah, that's it. Simple.
Is there a deadline for this? At a particular time you want it back?
That is something I've been thinking about because some people are still doing their projects, and people might even continue with the next funding that we're getting for the next year. I think ideally by the end of the month would be great. But I want to give people enough time to reflect thoughtfully as well. So I'll think more about that, and I'll follow up too with a deadline.
And if I go in and fill it out now, can I go out and then have more thoughts? Can I fill it out again?
I think so. You should be able to. It might say you've already filled out this form, so maybe use a different email, or you'll just have to email me.
Or I can email you. Yeah.
Or maybe I'll do a revised version again. I don't know, because we're still learning, right? This is our whole thing. We're like, okay, how do we gather this information in a way that makes sense? So then the next year we can do it again, maybe. And Doug and I talked about too, it's like, there's no way I'm going to be able to capture every single little detail that's happened. So I think that we all see this as a document that sort of lives on, and we can keep building on. So maybe we have the same sort of thing, but for the next year, or maybe in 3 years, or something like that. So it is pretty malleable because this whole thing is so new. So that's exciting, but also like a little nerve-wracking. So the next one I have is, please describe one or more of your favorite moments during YOTA, during Year of the Artist. And that one's, you don't have to respond to if you feel like you need more time to think. But for me, I really think one of my favorite moments was the parade. And I think a lot of people will agree. I was just so surprised, and it was just completely joyful, like we've been talking about, and just all about fun. And that was a really great experience. But obviously I've had so many great moments, getting to just know the different artists and to see all of the self-portraits, and just getting to know my community and the history and what's been happening and how we can improve things. So that's there for your contribution as well. And then the next one is, did you gain any new work or professional opportunities through your participation? So this is one that I didn't have in there initially, but Doug suggested, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Because I think Catherine was saying that she had someone reach out to her for something else, but they met her through the Year of the Artist, Catherine Devine, or something of the sort. So not to put you on the spot, if you wanted to talk about that.
Are you asking me?
Oh yeah, am I recalling that?
I'm actually not able to think exactly what you're talking about, but it may just come to me later on tonight. But yeah, I definitely feel like I've gotten more connections with people that have been strengthened, that did already know me, but didn't know me in the same way through this opportunity, especially with the sister cities, which a lot of people I knew socially, but to be able to interact with them through that group connection reinforce those connections.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, maybe I'm making that up. It might have been someone else. We have so many good conversations. Like, wait, who said that?
I'm just like, look at, did it happen to me? I always think it's the other Catherine.
Maybe.
I had a opportunity, if you could call it that, I suppose. Sister City, one of the events, I found that fascinating. I wish I went to all of them, quite frankly. So I only did 2, but when I did do one of them, one of the gals approached me afterwards. We got along really well and we connected, and she and I have both thought that we'd like to do plein air painting, but you know, you don't really like to go out there by yourself. So I would say that's a professional opportunity because of our connection through Sister City, just meeting kind of an impromptu evening. You know, we've made that connection. We went together to the studio tour, and so that's a professional, you know, connection that I wouldn't have had I not gone to the Sister City program. So that, I consider that a professional opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's fabulous. Vicky is just like a walking example for our form.
We've had
I
some
try
good
to.
To say one thing though, I get a kick out of it. You know, I live on the peripheral of Roanoke. I'm over by the lake, and I appreciate you all like allowing me to be a part of your group, and I'm ready to go buy something in Roanoke. But the point is that you know, I've made a lot of connections, and I go to Roanoke all the time now. So I feel like I need like a little helicopter with wings or something, so I could just fly out today. It's been a good opportunity.
That's great. I think, I don't know if it was Josh who was going to say something. Okay.
Yeah, we had some cool opportunities come up because we're doing this project. We've managed to get space at the Spot on Kirk to present the body of work that we've gotten, and that's a place we've been wanting to perform at for a long time. So it's really cool just being able to build that connection through this grant, and it's opened up some cool opportunities. And just being able to say that we're funded through the city of Roanoke is a really great resume builder too. When you're reaching out to venues to do performances in the future, being able to add that on top of the performances you've done in the past really goes a long way. So that's going to open up some cool things for us in the future too.
And you're allowed to go ahead and plug what date that is at the Spot on Kirk.
It will be on it'll be on June 30th. I believe the gates are going to open up at 7.
We'll get more details on the timing, but yeah, we just settled that while we were off on our honeymoon, we were finishing those details up. So yeah, June 30th, right at the very end of YOTA, at the Spot on Kirk. We're currently putting together the details. We're trying to get as much of the Celtic cultural community as involved as we can, because there are other musicians and photographers and audio engineers part of that community. So we're trying to lift them up as part of it too.
So I have to ask, did you get married?
2 years ago.
2 years ago in the thick of COVID.
I thought it was 2 months ago. Well, congratulations.
Yes, congratulations on all parts. So
I think I do want to say something to what they just mentioned, that for a lot of us, this is a good long-lasting resume thing to put on your resume, that you were employed by the city of Roanoke, that you did receive a grant based from National Endowment for the Arts. Those do look good on our resumes when we're applying for other jobs, or even just interacting with the public, or whatever we do in our work. So there is a longer lasting benefit that'll happen, not just this particular project and the money will be long spent and we'll have gone through that money quickly, but the status and the accomplishment will be part of our career. So I think there's a longer lasting benefit than we'll see just from this particular year of the artist.
Yeah, for sure. And again, like, we can keep going, hopefully.
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me, back in the Depression when the government got involved and put all the artists to work, and so many wonderful projects came out of that. So this kind of is reminiscent to me. And a lot of times, you wouldn't necessarily, I know I would not have produced the works that I am doing right now had I not been kind of inspired by the whole challenge. So I can assure you, I mean, at least in my point, I would not be painting the paintings or creating the art that I'm doing right now if it were not for the specific challenge, that I have, because it's an unusual way, and I've become so informed, I mean, and so more aware of so many different aspects of housing and homelessness. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. So if I was just painting flowers and daisies is not the best word, but you know what I'm saying, like walls or flowers or something like that, I mean, yeah, maybe I could sell a few paintings here and there, but I feel this is much more substantive and meaningful to me as an artist. And so I'm really happy that, I was able to have this opportunity and to make something meaningful to me anyway, and I hope to others as well. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
And that's another basic metric that I'm not sure we've intentionally listed yet. But the number of works created, and we're going to have to we're going to have to go through everybody funded and think, okay, Aaron is doing a photography show. How many works is he displaying? Vicky's doing a show, but it's writing, photography, and music. Those are probably different works that we would add. So at the end of this, cumulatively, we're going to have a whole lot of additional works, and that number will be interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I haven't even thought about that either, but it's on my list. So then to conclude for this forum that we have, the last 3 questions are pretty open. It's, do you have any feedback that can help us improve programs like this in the future? Because like Doug was saying at the beginning of our call tonight, that we're definitely want to keep going, and we're definitely looking for funds and have gotten funds already to keep doing stuff like this. So if there were things that could just take it to that next level and develop those projects quicker and to get the work done to the best of our abilities, or anything that you think that we can improve on, that would be definitely helpful to know as well, just internally as we keep moving through and inspiring artists and inspiring change too for the way that we integrate artists into our city. And then I just have feel free to share any additional comments, quotes, or information that you would like to see reflected in the year in review document. And then any images capturing your work and experiences that you haven't already shared via monthly report forms or to some of us. If there's an image of a work that you think really captures what you've been doing, the spirit of what you've been doing, or a picture of you that captures the spirit of what you've been doing, that would be great to have too.
I have a question about that, Samantha. I have so many pictures. I mean, it's going to take me a little while to really, I wonder whether, is there a way that you would rather have them than just listed on this form? Like, can we send them to you in a different way, or what's the best way to help you see them? And I'm technically, from my phone, do I send them directly? I mean, what's the best way for you to have these images, and how do you want us to label them or name?
Oh my goodness. Well, they can just exist as a JPEG if you like, with no name, because obviously they're pictures. But if there's something significant in a picture that you want to point out, definitely send it to me with that descriptor. Or you can say, oh, this is what I'm thinking about in this. And you may not see that right off the bat, but that's why I've included this. And for us, on our shared folder for the coaches, we have, I've been dumping images into there, and I can show you how to do this too if you need help. You can select your photos on your phone and upload them via Google folder. So if others would like to do that as well, if they have pictures that they've been taking and want to put into a Google folder, they can then share that link to me or to Doug or whoever, and we'll have access to see just that whole folder, because it is difficult to send over email, especially if they're large file sizes and things like that. So that's what I would recommend. That's what has worked best for me in the past. But if Doug has any suggestions or anybody else, I'm all ears as well.
The only thing that I'm thinking we might want to add, I should have thought about this before. We might want to add, duplicate that file upload so people can upload more than one file, like maybe up to 3 of them. And we could put another little line under there so they insert a caption underneath, for that photo or descriptor. The value of that, the thing that is nice about that is because we end up getting it in a spreadsheet, and you just go across and say, okay, this is Catherine. Okay, here's a caption and here's a picture that goes with it, and grab it. So if it, and that might be easier for you, Sam, as your, it's hard. I hate email. And so, when you get all those emails coming, it's hard. And
yeah.
So the more you can do with those kind of the forms, the better off. And most people have their own kind of Dropbox thing. If they want to send a link, that's another good.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, and I think you can upload up to 5 file sizes,
okay, great.
or files of smaller sizes to that form.
Oh,
so,
in that one form. Okay. You have to teach me how to do that.
Okay.
What am I hearing? That the best for you, Sam, is for us to narrow it down to 5 images and attach it to this survey. With that, we hope help you the best?
Yes. And Doug, do you know if I can go back and edit and add a question after I've already sent that link? Okay.
Yeah, all it'll do is the people who've already responded, and I did see that 3 people have already responded, that they won't have that same question that you added in there.
Okay. All right, well, I'll do that. Then yes, that would be very helpful. And then if you wanted to put all your other photos somewhere too, you could put them into that shared folder that we have as well.
Yeah, because you got to know you're talking to visual artists, so we have a way.
I know.
Like a lot of visuals, a lot of images. So I can try to be mindful that you don't want to be overloaded with too many. And I don't know what you already have. I mean, I know what you have from me, but if I've taken pictures of art parade, you may have that same image from someone else. So that same, the same idea, someone else may have documented. I definitely want to get that one picture I got of Brian holding the strings from the parade, because it just really, it was a good capture. I want to document that.
One nice thing is that what Samantha's working toward, and that she's going to be mining your responses for quotes. So if you're like, oh, here's I know I've got this really good quote about Brian at the parade, I'm going to put an image of Brian in the parade there. So you can go ahead and do a little help, kind of curating your images to match what she's going to get from your form. And you might have but you also might have a great image that you're just like, I don't know what you do with this, but this has got to be used.
All right, so let me understand what you're saying, Doug. You're saying if I say, if I want to leave a quote, then in that quote, you think I should have the image that supports the quote.
Well, I'm just saying, if you know that one of the big stories out of your work is the Sister Cities gallery talks and the power of the artist being able to communicate about their work, you might want to have a picture of one of the artists communicating about their work that Samantha can draw from for the report.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Any other questions for Sam on this stuff of what we're doing?
Well, thanks everybody. You had some really very nice reflective thoughts today. So, and congratulations to everyone who has been doing this work, completing it or not, and the opportunities they've given or gotten and given, I guess, too. It's been so much fun. And we're not done. June 30th this is just the beginning. This is more like the end of chapter 1.
Yeah. In fact, we made it that year. So we had 6 months of planning time, then we had the year, and then we had 6 months of wrap up time. So we expect some people to still be working on their projects even over the summer into the early fall, because things happen where they got started later. And that's all a-okay. This fall, we're also going to be kicking off new projects at the same time we're wrapping this up. We are going to do a project called Arts Connect Neighborhoods, where we have artists and arts organizations develop engagements. It could be a concert, it could be a workshop, it could be a kind of an arts training, it could be a hands-on. I'll come and do. I'm a comedian, so I'm not really a comedian. This is an example. I'm a comedian.
You believe
Believe you.
You must have some comedic personality because you just made us laugh, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but a comedian could say, I will do a workshop for your neighborhood and people you want to gather in your neighborhood. I'll do a workshop on improvisation, and we'll talk about being in the moment and working with each other and playing off of each other, and which can be very valuable for a group just getting started and working in their neighborhood together. It could be a Celtic concert. It could say, oh, well, we've got a duo. We'll come play at your block party or your picnic in the park for you and your neighbors. So we'll basically pay artists and arts organizations to come up with these. And then we will pay the art, like once the neighborhoods select the artist out of this big catalog we're going to create of all the ways the arts are connecting us across our neighborhoods. Then we'll pay we'll pay the artist based on the neighborhoods that want them. So if the neighborhood says, hey, I want this concert, we'll already have a W-9 and an agreement, basically with the artist, and we'll say, okay, hey, can you go do this in this neighborhood, and we're going to pay you. So we're really excited about that. So that's another way we're going to continue this work. Plus, we're going to have a limited number of Art Matters grants again. We'll have, I think, maybe 5 Art Matters grants that we'll be able to give. So for folks who are saying, how do I become part of this? We might have more, we might have less, but we're also going to have opportunities with the artist in residence, the emerging artists in residence, and we will have money for, say, murals in neighborhoods that artists can drive. So we're going to continue having artists driving their own projects, but we also hope artists are going to be out there helping us develop new projects and provide new kinds of services that just are demonstrating all the power of the arts. So hang on.
I really hope there's an opportunity while the artists are thinking about what they want to do, that we can interact with each other to collaborate, like to do something with another YOTA artist, to say, well, you did poetry and I can do the illustrations of the poems, or we could do an all ages event where somebody does dance with 5-year-olds and someone does dance with 55-year-olds,
I love it. We're going to have workshops this fall where we'll bring people together. Additionally, there might be an arts organization that says, hey, we've got this, but we need some artists to help us do it. So there might be some marriages that way. But yeah, that's terrific, because it just makes it more exciting. It gives each artist more confidence to go out there and do it because we're doing it with somebody else. Yeah, I do. We don't know what this is going to look like. We've never seen this in another community. We're making this up as we go along. So we're going to do something cool with it, I think.
I think it really adds to that aspect that, Josh and Julie were talking about, just how getting to know other people, and like you kind of try to find a way through your work to hang out with the people you just want to hang out with. So if we did a project together, it'd be like, it's fun. It's definitely more fun to collaborate and come up with something bigger than what you would come up with on your own.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Well, I want to thank everybody for taking the time tonight. This has been a really valuable focus group for us. And we were just talking, Shalene Powell and I were talking with, I should say, because it was Arlington. Yeah. I'll say, no, it's Fairfax Arts. Gosh, that was last week. Where's my head? Fairfax Arts, and they were talking about how they work in their community, and they said focus groups were really, really helpful for them, that they do them, they're starting to do them on a regular basis where they bring small groups very intentionally together. So we might, Sam, as we're looking at this and you're going to have lots of information coming at you. It may be that in another month or so that we want to gather another group of artists together and have another focus group this way, if you feel like it's going to be valuable. Yeah. So with that, anything else for the good of the order before we close off? All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, yes. Good to see you.
I'm trying to figure out the reaction thing.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Good job, everybody. Nice job,
Right.
Samantha. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
Sam, great job.
I miss the Sister Cities thing. I miss having that monthly get together. So that was a really sweet experience.
Well, I haven't said this yet out loud, but I've said it to a couple of people. I'm going to be sending out a note asking everybody if they're comfortable keeping the portraits for a little bit longer. People love those portraits, and they love them where they are, and they feel like they we haven't had them long, even though it's been.
That's really nice.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll be reaching out and asking if we can keep them probably into September. And we'll do a little more marketing around it, get some more eyes on them. And who knows how else we'll use them. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder I don't know if there's any way I know we all know that food brings people out, but I don't know what else we could do that could tie into getting people down there to see them, because everyone I know does love seeing them.
Oh, I wonder. Well, Catherine, you might think up a scavenger hunt, some kind of thing to find the things in these portraits.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
That's good.
I am nerdy enough. I would do that.
Right.
And you're a comedian, so what the heck?
You love the scavenger hunt for the sister city of finding the things and all the different sculptures.
Right.
Yeah. That's what you did with the
illustration.
Yeah, your illustrations. Yeah. So I don't know. That might be fun.
And then here's we'll talk, because the other thing we don't go over your time, but we got the fashion show coming up, and one of the ideas that Garland came up with, and I think we got this idea from Brian, was having a raffle and people had to be present to get the prize. So he's going to do something similar to that for his fashionista, people who participate, but that could be also something like some kind of raffle that artists might donate something, and whoever wins or whatever, that might be a nice way to get people down there to just be together and see it again. But I'll think about that.
If you need music to lure people in, we would be happy to provide music.
Oh, that's the best
that brings
idea.
people together sometimes.
That is the best idea.
Well,
Really.
the nice thing is that now that it is downstairs, if we do another, if we wrap up by going to council at 7:00 on the first Monday in August, then we could, when we adjourn, we could go downstairs, and we could actually be noisy downstairs and nobody, and be with it, have a final viewing, of the self portraits, hear some music.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
That would be fun. Okay, we're thinking. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Take care.
Adios.
Thank y'all.